All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to week 2 of Interpreted Language at Codebox Bootcamp. So this week we were tasked to use our pseudocode and actually run out the controllers for residential purposes. We were tasked with the interpreted language, so we are going to go through JavaScript, Python, and Ruby. So to start us off, we will go through the JavaScript controller. So upon requested specification from the client, we have 5 different classes: the column, elevator, the door, floor request button, call buttons. Now we have specific functions that were asked upon the client to have in certain classes. Now if we go through the class column with ID, status, amount of floors, amount of elevator, few information supplied as an extra to create our list. We have our create call button list, our create elevator list, our request elevator. The best elevator function in JavaScript is using a point value system, which we will verify then the best elevator through this point value system. The class elevator also runs through a different system. So we have our ID, our status, our current floor direction, amount of floor, door, floor requests, and floor request button lists. You will find a request floor as asked upon as a specification from the client within the elevator class, the move elevator, move up, move down, manage floor request list, open door. We have the class door with its ID and status, the floor request buttons, and the call button ID status, floor, and direction. Now, if we move along, as you can see in this testing section, the scenario is grayed out because it's not called upon. As you will see in the README, where you can populate different aspect of a column of an elevator list and so on, and how to request. All you need to do to activate the actual scenario is run down to the bottom, uncomment scenario 1, and you can reuse it using Code Runner, and it will give you detail of where the user is and wants to go, how it's moving. It will show you the elevator moving. It will open and close its door, and all that in 0.443 seconds. So that pretty much covers the JavaScript aspect of it. Now if we move to the Python, sorry, that's the Ruby. Python is very similar, and once again, it's been purchased language. So instead of using this, we use self. A few difference. Where you do want to iterate something, you're calling about in range instead of having to do for I is equal to 0 and I is greater than amount of elevators and I plus plus. You can just do that in a simple for loop in I in range. So it's pretty much equivalent, but the main key is also where you do not create a function. You def initialize and always talk to self when you're within the column. So you'll call self when you're calling about the column. If I want to call something from the class elevator, I would call elevator dot so on, which I would like to do in foremost for that purpose. So once again, we have our request elevator. The best elevator, I'm using my own because it worked. I did not have a chance to convert it to a point system, but it does work, not a problem. All the specifications are met, as you're going to get to have a chance to see. Once again, the class required are all here. Floor requests, self-destination, door, and so on. In the testing section, we'll find the same thing as we found in GS. All you need to do is uncomment, and you can run your scenario. A little bit of a different layout, but once again, very, very similar. You'll find that Python is a very more user-friendly language, and that's why we are moving on to Ruby. Now, as requested, it is created within a module called residential controller, where you'll find a class column with all its attribute accessor and readers. So these are you can read, and these you can access. Now, once again, to do a function, you def, and then you write the function instead of init. You actually have to initialize when you're describing a class. Otherwise, for simple function, all you need to do is pretty much similar to Java and so on. So you use a lot of a commercial to call a function that you've specified beforehand. and your request elevator, best elevator. Once again, I am using my own formula for best elevator. Did not have time to convert it. And same thing, if you want to operate, you just gotta comment out and do a run play by play, and it will run it for you. So hopefully you enjoyed this very quick presentation because I could go on forever, but I only have 5 minutes, which I've already been a little bit over. So on that note, I wish you a good weekend, and thank you very much for taking the time to look at this.